And they're off. 3 candidates threw their hat into the ring for the National Party leadership today, wasting no time in making their pitches as to why they should be the ones to replace Bill English. Mr English, of course, is to step down from the top job in just under 2 weeks' time and leave Parliament. So how's the battle to replace him shaping up? Our Deputy Political Editor Chris Bramwell joins us this evening from the Parliamentary Office. Good afternoon, Chris.
Good evening, Sharon.
The candidates didn't waste any time in declaring their hands today, did they?
No, they didn't at all. And in part of that, the reason really is that there's only 2 weeks in this race. So Bill English, as you said yesterday, announced that he was going to resign as leader and then also bow out from politics and Parliament altogether. Now, that only allows 2 weeks. He said February the 27th at their National Party caucus meeting on a Tuesday, he will then formally resign. And at that point, he expected the new leadership team to be in place. So yesterday, all the MPs and former ministers said, look, today's Bill English's day. So there was no discussion about who was going to put their name forward then. But first thing this morning, bang, not long after 8 a.m, Judith Collins put out a tweet saying that she was first. She was going to be throwing her hat into the ring. 11 o'clock, Simon Bridges held a stand-up out on the bridge here at Parliament, and then Amy Adams at 3:30. They're all well aware that they only have 2 weeks in order to win the support of their colleagues to take the National Party leadership.
And how is each one of them pitching themselves? I mean, because they're all pretty different personalities, aren't they?
They are. So Judith Collins says that what she brings or would bring to a National Party leadership is that she is strong and decisive. She says she has a lot of experience in opposition and also that she is the one that can hold the government to account. She's talking a lot about 2020 and how that she will take the fight to the Labour-led government then, and she thinks that she can get 61 seats for National and Parliament and that she's the one to do it. So she's really talking some fighting talk. Simon Bridges talks about generational change. He also has experience. All 3 of them have been cabinet ministers, so they have that cabinet and government experience. He talks about generational change. He's 41 years old and he said that he also wants to he talked about renewing and renewal, so new people, but also he talked about having some new policies. He didn't, of course, outline what they were, but there's a lot of talk there about change. Amy Adams, she said that her point of difference really is about having an urban and rural mix, and she would bring that to the leadership. So she was formerly a commercial lawyer for 16 years. She was born and spent about half her life living in Auckland. She then married a sheep farmer, and she's a Selwyn MP, so she has that rural background as well. She also, as I said, was a former cabinet minister with some quite high profile positions, and she says she had 10 different portfolios, so she talked a lot about that experience as well. So they all have slightly different experience and strengths that they're bringing to the positions. Something that they do all talk about though is regardless of who wins, that they want to present a united caucus. And so Amy Adams said she talked to Judith Collins and Simon Bridges before, and they've all talked about that, about how they have to be unified through this process and beyond.
It was interesting today that Amy Adams turned up surrounded by quite a few other MPs, quite a different tack to what the other 2 did today.
Yes, that's right. So Judith Collins obviously announced on Twitter, as I said, and Simon Bridges was by himself on the tiles at Parliament. Amy Adams arrived at a press conference that she held outside by the Rose Garden, which is a very nice setting, and she turned up with Nikki Kay, Maggie Barry, Chris Bishop and Tim McIndoe with her, which was quite interesting. And now they all represent different parts of the party. Nikki Kay and Chris Bishop, I would say, are probably quite socially liberal, that side of the party. Tim McIndoe is certainly more conservative. So there were different strengths from even the people that were with her. And another part of that as well is that Tim McIndoe is the former senior whip, so he has really good contacts throughout the caucus and he knows everyone. So I think it was very interesting that she had those 4 there, and also the fact that they were prepared to come out publicly immediately and put their support behind Amy Adams.
And what about others who haven't yet declared their hand, because there seems to be a few other possibilities?
That's right. So Stephen Joyce said today that he is taking some soundings. He pretty much said that if people want him to go for the leadership, then he will consider it. Jonathan Coleman also is not ruling it in or out. He said he was going to sit back and wait and see what happened. Now, he was saying that before Simon Bridges and Amy Adams had announced that they would be going for the leadership. The other is Mark Mitchell, who is a third-term MP, doesn't perhaps have as high a profile as the others, but he also said that he was considering a tilt at the leadership, but not making any decisions at the moment. That too was said before Amy Adams and Simon Bridges put their hat in. So now that there are three quite senior faces running for the leadership, it's not really clear whether those others will still be considering a tilt at it, because 3 people running is quite a few. If you have more than that, I guess it can start to get a little bit messy. So we'll just have to wait and see. The other person to mention is Paula Bennett, who has confirmed that she would like to remain the deputy leader of National. Amy Adams, when we asked her about that, said that she really likes Paula and she would be happy for her to stay on as deputy. But of course, that is a decision for the caucus. So the caucus votes on the leadership and the deputy. They don't decide on who their running mate's going to be. But Paula Bennett still clearly wants that job.
Chris, thanks very much for that. That's our Deputy Political Editor, Chris Bramwell.